Here is a court transcript. Everybody go home, take a part of it. We'll do this novella in the round, I said. And everybody said, what? And then everybody just did that. They took a section and they went home and wrote it, and we brought it back in, and we just had all these different scenes. And then we had, of course, Annie McEwen, who is a fantastic sound designer, and she took this outrageously diverse and complex set of scenes and voices. We acted them out ourselves. She taped it really quickly, like it was one night with lots of wine and lots of fun, and us just being, partly goofy but and she put together this piece that was
amazing.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Considering that it was, especially considering that it was just done it was such an impromptu piece of work. Very much done very quickly.
And to take that idea, I think too, because that piece was, even though that had a serious component obviously to it, but it was very fun for us, and I think we all thought, or some of us thought at least, that Lisa was nuts when she suggested it. And it became a very full, very rounded story, and beautiful and amazing. And to take that then and transfer it to something that was so much bigger and more complex and more emotional, and to still follow those same rules, because initially we just went off and wrote our pieces, and we came back and we filled in gaps that existed and that type of stuff, but there wasn't a whole lot of addition necessary or editing required in that sense. We still came back with a story that each of us only wrote a little piece of, but it was a whole. Like, that was a big part of what was so interesting.
How do we go about it?
I know we made up a fictional community, and I know we ended up talking. We kind of hashed out. I remember us talking about like photographs in general, because we now live in a time where everybody has a camera in their back pocket, and you can take a picture and share it immediately, and how that might be seen differently from different generations. When we started doing that, we kind of started seeing. Or at least I kind of started seeing, I don't know about everybody else, but like just how, the different characters, how different characters would come out of that, and how you would have, we knew we wanted to have the teenagers, and we also knew we wanted to have their parents and grandparents and actual teachers and people in a different community, and how they would all see this site and see how the different effects of that. So I think that's one of the things we kind of started talking about before we started writing.
But I don't think we really had any rules. If we had rules, I think they were very loose, at least. Go away and write and come back and put it together, and that's what we did, I think.
Well, we were trying to focus on dialogue.
Yeah.
I mean, there were monologues, but we also focused on, having interaction between the characters, I think. It definitely began with us having long discussions about what pornography was, what revenge porn was, and like Bridget said, the understanding that we wanted to explore what these kinds of sites were doing to many generations. We even talked about the different generational understandings of the internet. Looked like quite a few bottles of wine to me, and lots of snacks. And Annie McEwen just happened to be in town because she's in and out. And we just did we finished it, really. We finished the recording, and we finished the moments that were missing. And Annie knew what was missing, and she said, we're going to need this, we're going to need that. And I think that's pretty much when we also realized the ending of the narrative, right? Like, we came to we wanted to have a sort of surreal ending that wasn't, not realism exactly, and that was very hard to imagine.
Mm-hmm. It was wonderful, I thought, how we worked to that. We didn't know how it was going to end, really, until we got there, and it just was right.
And of course, it could have been wrong if Annie had edited it a different way, but somehow she was very sensitive to what we were trying to do, and we were sensitive to each other, I think.
Humor was absolutely necessary for us as a group to be able to deal with it, discuss it, and address it in any kind of a meaningful way, I think.
And that was keeping the humor in it is something that Lisa kind of reminded us to do throughout the whole process, because there were times I think when it got pretty dark and we were probably a little bit depressed maybe, and that's important in getting through anything tough, I guess. So you reminded us of that. I don't know if you remember doing that.
But I believe you.
I can remember being almost moved to tears by some of the writing
Yes.
and very affected by it. And I was new to the group just before we started this project. And I mean, I was totally bewildered. I didn't know anything about writing fiction, for example. So the group, because it was already well-oiled, the group, it helped me enormously. So I sort of meshed in with the group and started to understand how you worked and how I could work with the group. It was wonderful, actually. I hate to say life-changing, but it is. Actually, I think for all of us, this group is incredibly important.